Hello guys and welcome to another video. If this is your first time to my channel, my name is Eleftheria and I'm doing some FreeCodeCamp challenges. So far I made some about flexbox or grid, about debugging and regular expression, but now the couple of last days I've been doing for data visualization with D3. And D3 is one of my favorite libraries. I think that you can do some amazing things. So now I'm ready to continue. I have not many more challenges in D3, so I will leave the previous videos in the description box if you'd like to check them out. And now, without further ado, let's keep going on D3. Alright, let's see what we have today. Add labels to Scatterplot circles. You can add text to create labels for the points in the Scatterplot. The goal is to display the comma-separated values for the list, x and second y fields of each item in dataset. The text nodes need x and y attributes to position it on the SVG canvas. In this challenge, the y value, which determines height, can use the same value that the circle uses for the cy attribute. The x value can be slightly larger than the cx value of the circle, so the label is visible. This will push the label to the right of the plotted point. Okay, let's see what we have to do. Label each point on a Scatterplot using the text elements. The text of the label should be two values separated by a comma and a space. For example, the label for the first point is 34 and 78. Set the x attribute to its 5 units more than the value you used for the cx attribute on the circle. Okay, and set the y attribute the same way that's used for the cy value on the circle. Okay, let me see if I got this one, because I'm not yet sure. First, I'm going to begin with the attribute, and if you didn't watch my previous video, that's what we were also doing there. So I think that the first part is going to be the same, with attribute, x, and then inside the parentheses I'm going to have a d and an I. Then, as always, for the callback function I'm going to have a d, but this time with the 0 inside the array. So this time I have to add 5 because it says 5 units more. And then I'm going to have the other attribute, which will be for the y. And then again, after the comma, I'm going to have a d and I. D is for data and I stands for index. And then again, I'm going to have an h, which is for height, minus d, and inside square brackets, I'm going to have the value of 1. So at first, I'm having 0, and then I'm having 1. Now, the last thing that I'm going to add is the text. Of course, I need some text. And again, I'm going to have a d, but this time, oops, I think it should be like this. So this is the different part from the previous video. So you have d in the first position, and the first position is actually the 0 and 1 in the JavaScript, and then I have to add a comma and a space, and after that obviously I have to add the other value, which is 1. Okay, and now let's see if everything is correctly. And it is, and you can also see that in the right part. Okay, so far so good, but let me see what we have next, and it's create a linear scale with D3. So far we'll be doing the Scatterplot, so now I guess it's time for the linear scale. The bar and Scatterplot charge both plotted data directly into the SVG canvas. Yes. However, if the height of a bar on or one of the data points were larger than the SVG height or width values, it would go outside the SVG area. In D3, there are scales to help load data. Scales are functions that tell the program how to map a set of raw data points into the pixels of the SVG canvas. For example, say you have a 100 to 500 sized SVG canvas and you want to plot gross domestic product for a number of countries. The set of numbers would be in the billion or trillion dollar range. you provide D3 a type of scale to tell it how to place the large GDP values into that 100 to 500 sized area. Okay, so then it says D3 has several scale types. For a linear scale, usually used with quantitative data, there is the D3 method, scale linear. And then we have the const scale D3 scale linear. Okay, I'm going to copy this because I think that we will need that. By default, a scale uses the identity relationship. The value of the input is the same as the value of the output. A separate challenge covers how to change this. Okay, so now we have to change the scale variable to create a linear scale, then set the output variable to the scale called with an input argument of 50. Alright, so the first thing that you will do, add your code below this line. I have const scale and then this is undefined, so I guess that this should be something like D3 dot scale linear, but this is a function, so I have to have it like this. And then because we are going to call this one, we have to have the number of 50 as it says. I don't think that we have to do anything else, and no, we didn't. Alrighty, let's continue. Set a domain and a range on a scale. Okay, this should be interesting. By default, scales use the identity relationship. The input value maps to the output value, but scales can be much more flexible and interesting. Say a data set has values ranging from 50 to 480, and this is the input information for a scale and is also known as the domain. You want to map those points along the x-axis on the SVG canvas between 10 units and 500 units. This is the output information, which is also known as the range. The domain and range methods set these values to the scale. Both methods take an array of at least 2 elements as an argument, and we also have an example. Alrighty, so what we have to do is create a scale and set its domain to 250 and 500 and range to 10 and 150. Okay, so we will have here, I guess, the scale, and then of course the domain, and inside the parentheses I'm going to have also the square brackets, and then I'm going to have these values that were given to us. And in the next line I'm also going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to have the range and parentheses, parentheses, and inside there are the brackets, and this time I'm going to have 10 and 150. I don't think I need anything else, so let me check that one. Just run the tests. Oops, scale domain is not a function. Have I written anything wrong? Oh yes, I see that. Oh, that's silly mistakes. I should have added an I. It was like domain, no domain. Anyway, let's keep going, and this time we have use the D3.max and D3min functions to find minimum and maximum values in your dataset. D3 methods, domain and range, set that information for your scale based on the data. There are a couple methods to make that easier. Often, when you set the domain, you will want to use the minimum and maximum values within the dataset. Trying to find these values manually, especially in a large dataset, may cause errors. Okay, so we have an example here using the min and max. Okay, and then let's see what we have to do. The position variable that holds a 3-dimensional array, use the D3 method to find the minimum value of the z coordinate from the arrays and save it in the output variable. Okay, add your code below this line. I think that I will have a D3.max parentheses, and then we will have the position data. So I'm just going to copy and paste that over here, and then after comma I'm also going to have the D. The D should be inside the parentheses, and oops, here the D will be like D2, and because D0 is for one-dimensional, 1 is for two-dimensional, so 2 is the three-dimensional arrays. It may be a little bit weird, especially if you're new to JavaScript, but that's how things work. Now we have like const output, and this is undefined. This shouldn't be undefined. This probably should be something like D3, and then max, and then again inside here we'll have the position data. Okay, and then again D, and then, or maybe you can even copy and paste that because I think it's the same. We have 8 as a result, and I think this is what we wanted, and yes, it was. Okay guys, I think that I will end this video here. Next video, maybe it's going to be the last one on D3 challenges, so stay tuned. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Have an amazing day, and see you in the next video.